Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 8, our final week together in Science 200. I hope that you've enjoyed this term and you've enjoyed your project and the topic that you chose, and that you've learned some things about science. So let's see what we've got going on this week. First of all, quick review about the speaker's notes. You should have made your speaker's notes to go along with the presentation that you're going to make this week. What in the world? Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final week together, week number 8 in Science 200. I hope that you've enjoyed this term and your science class that you've been taking, and that you've learned about the process of science. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And you've learned some things about your particular topic that you chose. So let's see what we've got going on. So last week, you should have finished up and turned in your speaker's notes, which are the notes that would prompt you to help you go through a presentation and remind you what to say about your topic for each particular slide. I hope that you've already mapped out your slides so that you have those and you know what section of the speaker's notes goes with each slide. The interesting things that you learned about in your topics, GMOs, that safety issue is not so straightforward as most people claim. You know, everybody's against GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Okay, human beings have been genetically modifying organisms since we began to harvest plants for their seeds and their different properties, their food value. We've been doing this since we started that behavior. It's just that we bred certain crops and certain animals in order to benefit us. We're doing this in a different way now. We're manipulating genes. And we're doing this with very, very few genes. Most people think that, you know, a GMO is a frankenfood. That's what some people call them. But really, it would be just 1 or 2 genes that are added to an organism in order to give them pesticide resistance or insect resistance or a different nutrient value, that sort of thing. So the safety for consumption of GMOs is not as horrific as most people think. Really, the only thing that anybody has ever come up with so far is that some people might be allergic to this new protein or the 2 new proteins that are in this particular food. Electric vehicles, we think of them as being extremely environmentally friendly, but we have to consider lithium mining and the production of the batteries for electric vehicles and how we're going to dispose of those batteries once the vehicle is no longer running, or as in my nephew's case, after he wrecks 2 Teslas, what happens to those messed up batteries then? Yeah, a little commentary. Biodiversity conservation, we have found out, as you have shared, that habitat loss is one of the major ways that we are ruining biodiversity and ecosystems. We are just gobbling up more and more land. And if you even look at your local area, you see that. I sure do in my area. Every possible speck of land that can be developed is being developed. And this means that animals and plants who normally were in this habitat are now being moved out. And also bacteria and fungi and all the other organisms are being moved out of this area to make way for human beings. Ocean acidification is caused by the burning of fossil fuels and that extra carbon dioxide that's moving into the atmosphere, and then that gets absorbed into the ocean water and is changing the pH of the ocean, and this is causing devastating effects in our marine life, and this will impact us. It is coming. Genetic engineering and engineering, you know, quote unquote, the perfect baby. I don't know what that baby is, but anyway, changing the genes in human beings. This will be difficult to do, and right now it's completely unethical, which you have found out if you chose this as your topic. No one around the world is allowed to do this in human embryos yet, even though one Chinese scientist did do that with two twin girls, and he subsequently was arrested and put in jail and stripped of his degree, I believe, and he can no longer do any research of any type because he did this. So we've learned all kinds of things about our different topics, and I hope you enjoyed what your classmates wrote about their topics too. All right, this week you've got discussion board postings. You know the drill. The initial post is due by Thursday evening, and the 2 response posts are due by Sunday evening, and that's the last day of the class. What were the challenges of presenting your particular topic to the audience that you chose? So a lot of you chose the general public. And if you're talking about GMOs or electric vehicles or whatever, the general public does not know much about those topics. So you have to have found a way to present your topic to the general public or whoever your audience is. And what were your challenges faced in doing this? And were your sources helpful in addressing your particular audience? Did they give you good statistics? Did they give you good information? Hopefully so. Hopefully that's why you chose those particular sources. Your response posts, similarities and differences between what your experience was and what your classmates' experience was in addressing your audience. Okay, remember to make these substantive, and so they need to be at least 1 paragraph for each one of these posts. A paragraph is 3 sentences or more, if you remember that from an English class. So anyway, make sure your responses are substantive. Finish your last exercises in Chapter 8 in the Sumo web text about the Horizon Deepwater oil spill and how it was communicated to the public and to tourists, because this is amazing, and actually it is still being communicated to the general public because there are still effects from it since 2010 when it first happened. Your final presentation, so that's the big thing that you have to turn in this week, which is worth a lot of points. So please don't miss turning this in. These are your slides from your presentation. So you made your speaker's notes this past week. This week, you're making your slides. You need to have graphics. You need to have photographs and data and oomph. You know, they got to be powerful. Nobody wants to look up on a screen and see a bunch of words. We can all read, right? So we don't want to have to read everything that you're telling us. No, you need to have some punch to your slides because you're trying to make a point to your audience. You're trying to show them why this particular topic is important and what they should know about this. So put something on these slides that will make an impact. You can put bullet points. That is perfectly fine. I always have bullet points. Now, I know I put a lot of stuff on here, but this is because you need to read this, and you're reminded of it if you go back in the video and pause it. But bullet points to help you remind you what to talk about with your audience. So bullet points are good. Paragraphs are not good. Nobody wants to see that on a slide. I certainly don't. Though I have seen them, oh my goodness, in professional arenas, I have seen the most horrible slides in the world. Oh, you should go to a meeting with a bunch of geneticists. You want to see some craziness? They'll put a slide up on a big screen for hundreds of people to look at, and it'll be full of A's, T's, G's, and C's. The alphabet, you know, of DNA, yeah, just one letter after another after another, which means nothing to anyone. But yeah, I've seen that. All right, and then the last few things that we have to consider is, I hope that you learned a lot in this course about science, how it works, how complicated it is, and how much repetition there is, and how much oversight there is with peer review and that sort of thing, to get to good information. And that's what science is all about, trying to figure out how things work and then to communicate that with other scientists and with everyone else on the planet. So I hope you learned about that. Communication styles are different depending on your audience. I hope you learned that. So I hope you learned about science through this whole process of taking a particular topic that has to do with natural sciences, investigating it, coming up with a question to look at, forming a hypothesis, deciding how a natural scientist would experiment and answer that hypothesis. I hope you learned about that this term, and I hope you carry it with you into the future. Also, please fill out your course evaluations because this helps me as an instructor. This helps me, you tell me what I did right, what I did wrong, whatever. It also helps my team lead and my dean know how I'm doing as an instructor for SNHU. So the course evaluations are important to me. I hope that you take the time to fill those out. And the last thing that I need to tell you is that the last day to turn in anything for this course is Sunday before midnight, August the 20th. That is the last day of our class. On Monday at 12:01 a.m., you will not be able to upload anything. You can't send it to me to upload because I can't. All I can do at that point is grade. So make sure everything is turned in on time. I cannot take anything late. You just can't even put it into the course. And I don't have any control over that. That's how the courses are set up. If you are having any issues and you don't feel like you can get through these last couple of assignments, you need to contact me before the end of the term because I have to turn in incomplete requests before the end of the term and get those approved. If you are requesting an incomplete, you have to have successfully completed 70% of the work in this course before they will even allow me to turn in a request. There's a box that says that. Has this student completed 70% of the work successfully in the course? And if I check no, that's an automatic no. They can't do an incomplete. So be aware of that. I wish you all the very best in your future work at SNHU. I wish you the best in earning your degree. That'll be here before you know it. And then finding a good career that has to do with your particular degree. Get out in the world, make something of yourself, and make us all proud. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week, and just let me know if I can do anything for you.